I'm sure several of you have heard of the word kosher before, yet you probably have a limited idea of what it really means. Let me try to clear that up for you. The topic of kosher has been discussed by many knowledgeable rabbis for years, yet I only have a couple of minutes to touch the surface with you. So let's get started. The literal meaning of the word kosher is order. Yet, what does order mean? Is it the type of order as in a command or a process? Trick question. It's both. It's command because God commanded the Jews to keep kosher, and it is a process in the sense of how food or an animal is prepared from start to finish. I'm going to give an overview of how animals can be kosher, your kitchen can be kosher, and how you can tell which food in the supermarket is kosher. First, animals. What type of animals are kosher? For your basic beef, the animal is kosher if they chew their cud and have split hooves. For example, cows. Next is fish. Which fish are kosher? Any fish that have fins and scales are kosher. For example, salmon. Then there are birds. All birds are kosher. So yes, I can have chicken and turkey. So what's the difference between beef that is kosher and beef that isn't kosher? Well, that is how the slaughtering works. For an animal to be kosher, it has to be slaughtered in one fluid motion with a sharp knife. This also has to be supervised by a rabbi. This is known as the most humane way of killing an animal. Next is how the animal is packaged and put into stores. They are not able to touch anything that has come in contact with non-kosher food. Otherwise, it's no longer kosher. Next, we're going to talk about how you can keep a kosher kitchen. First, we're going to talk about not allowing meat and milk together. You cannot have any type of cheese on a hamburger or your chicken. You can't have it cooked together or eaten together in the same meal or even the same few hours. Next, we're going to talk about stove tops, microwaves, sinks, ovens. Each one has to be made kosher. First, your oven. For an oven, you have to clean it out very well and then either use a blowtorch to burn anything in there that is not kosher at all, or some electric ovens have a self-clean option. Next, stovetops. If you have an electric stovetop, it's quite simple. You put the stovetop to maximum heat until the top gets red hot, and then you let it sit for just a couple minutes, and then it's kosher. But for gas stovetops, you have to leave it on maximum heat for about an hour. Next, we have microwaves. Very easy to keep kosher. First, you have to wipe it out, and then you take a glass of water with a drop of soap and leave it in there for about 5 minutes so the water boils, and then you can wipe out the rest of the microwave and the microwave is kosher. Next is the sink. This one's the hardest of all of them, if you ask me. You have to make sure that you have boiling hot water and you have to pour it on each part of the metal sink. Then you have a kosher sink. Next are pots, pans, and utensils. So what's the difference between pots that you use and pots that I use? It's really no difference, except before we start using our pots and pans, we have to bless them and immerse them into natural bodies of water. However, not every single type of material has to be go through this process. For example, anything that is 100% plastic does not need to be immersed in this water. Once you use any of these objects for either meat or dairy, it could only be used for meat or dairy. Next is how we can tell things are kosher in the store. On each item that is kosher in a store, there is a symbol. There are many different types of symbols. We have the OU, Circle K, Triangle K, Star K, Beit Yosef, Glot, Kahila, and many, many, many others. Each symbol means it's certified by a rabbi. There are some rabbis that are slightly more lenient than others, so there are some symbols that some Jews choose not to follow. Yes, this still may not make a lot of sense to you all, but many Jews are also confused by each detail at times. There are many steps, many more processes, and many people around the world watching and supervising the process to confirm the food is kosher. I can go into detail on each of these topics, but like I said, we're just touching the surface.